Hi, everybody. We're so happy that you're here on a Tuesday afternoon for the Understanding and Avoiding Plagiarism workshop through Library Live. I am Letty Terrones. I'm a librarian at Cal State L.A., and I'm so happy to be joined by my colleague, Jayati Chaudhuri. She is a librarian as well at Cal State L.A., and throughout the presentation today, we will also provide our contact information. I wanted to also just say a few words about participating. You're welcome to raise a hand or show a reaction or type into the chat whenever you have a question on any of the content that is presented here or any other library related question as we go through the presentation. We will also have some quizzes for you, so be ready for those when they happen. Okay, so what are we going to do today? So the purpose of today is to identify the characteristics of plagiarism. We are in the midterms kind of portion of the semester. So we want to talk about with detail what is plagiarism and how to recognize it. We also want to talk about the citational practices in a variety of styles, and in this way, talk about how to avoid plagiarism. We want to identify the acceptable ways of paraphrasing so that you can incorporate paraphrasing into your papers and projects. And then we also want to talk about things that you can access at the library sources or resources that can help you with your academic integrity, including different citation manuals that we have, and other forms of support. Does that sound good to you? You can throw me a thumbs up in the reactions to let me know, or in the chat as well. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? So we're going to talk about what is plagiarism, and then we're going to get into a discussion of different types of concepts of plagiarism. There's not just one way of thinking about plagiarism. So we're going to talk about that in the concepts, and then we're going to do some exercises on paraphrasing. So this will be your chance to practice how to put written content into your own words. And we will close with a discussion on citing sources. The workshop that we're presenting today is built off of a Canvas tutorial that we have called Understanding and Avoiding Plagiarism. I don't know if any of you have done the Canvas tutorial. If you have, which a lot of students have done, you can also let us know in the chat or throw us a thumbs up. Have you done the Canvas tutorial? Any student can take it. Okay, so what is plagiarism? I'm just going to read here from the APA Style Guide, their definition. Plagiarism is the act of presenting the words, ideas, or images of another as your own. It denies authors, creators of content, the credit that they are due. Whether deliberate or unintentional, plagiarism violates ethical standards in scholarship. What I like about this definition is that it highlights how sometimes when you plagiarize, you're not doing it on purpose. You're not doing it for the intent to copy or to use somebody else's words. It's unintentional. That's why it's very important to recognize how plagiarism can happen. So here are some examples of how plagiarism can happen. When you include in your papers or projects written words or phrases or sentences from anything that you're getting, a peer-reviewed article, a book, a YouTube video, a website, anything that you're using without properly citing it. That's a form of plagiarism. When you include facts, statistics, graphs, pictures, images, or phrases without proper citation, that's another way of doing plagiarism. Sometimes also we collaborate. Actually, a lot of times we collaborate, we have group projects, but when you're collaborating on a graded assignment without your instructor knowing about it or without their approval, that's also a form of plagiarism. And then writing about a concept or an idea or a theory in your papers without attributing it to the original thinkers of that idea, that's also a form of plagiarism. So plagiarism can happen without without really intending to. And thank you so much for putting that note in the chat, Jacqueline. We are going to share the link to that Canvas course, which Jayati and I developed. And anybody at Cal State LA can take it. It's self-paced. And you can kind of, pop in and out of the Canvas tutorial to take a deeper dive on all of the stuff that we're going to cover in like a short hour. The Canvas course goes into detail on it. And it's not graded. It's just, for you to learn more about understanding and avoiding plagiarism. So how do we not do plagiarism? The way to not do plagiarism is to get into a good habit of paraphrasing or quoting the text. So using, citational practices, whether you're doing MLA or APA, always paraphrasing and quoting the text when you're getting information from a source. Usually we're talking about academic articles or other materials that are scholarly that you're using in your writing. Okay, not patch writing. What is patch writing? We're going to talk about that. And then when in doubt, just cite your sources. So if you're not sure if you should cite it, you can err on the side of, making sure you're doing it correctly and just cite your sources. Those are ways to avoid plagiarism. Okay, so I talked about this word, patch writing. What is patch writing? So here's an image on the side of like a little patch. That's just keeping me on track. And then writing. So patch writing is like, let's say you have like a hole in your sweater. Then you can like put a patch on it and then just kind of sew it up. So the idea is getting people's ideas, keeping the same sentence, but just like changing a word here or there, but basically keeping the same sentence. Or when you keep the same sentence that somebody else wrote, but you take out one word and you substitute it with a synonym. That's the idea of patch writing. So rearranging the author's words by substituting synonyms for words or moving the order around of the words, but essentially keeping the same ideas and phrasing as the original. Okay, so what we want you to do right now is we want you to either go to menti.com and use the code 91948665. Let me actually write that code down. 8665. Or you can hold your phone up to the QR code, and we want you to go to this quiz. Okay, so 1 second while I show the quiz. And I want you to okay, I want you to go ahead and answer the question. So how would you avoid plagiarism? So go ahead and either go to, I'll put it in the chat, menti.com, and then you're going to type in the code 91948668.
8665. 8665, Letty.
Oh, I got it wrong. 9194 and 8665. Okay, that's the code. Or you can also hold your phone to the QR code and let's take a look. What are some of the things that you can do? Yes, thank you, Cameron, for putting the right number in there, the right code number.
You can
Okay.
write.
Okay, good. So we're seeing. All right, yes. So let's take a look at some of the main answers. So summarizing, yes. And with summarizing, you can make sure to paraphrase and cite. Not patch writing. That's right, quoting. Right, cite your sources. Excellent. So those are the ways to avoid plagiarism. Really the nuts and bolts of citation. Okay, well done, everybody. So let's go on to the next portion.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk, I'm Jayati again, and I'm going to talk about the concepts of plagiarism. It was a totally new thing for me to learn that there are different concepts of plagiarism. Oh my God. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the what is the concept of plagiarism in the English speaking world. So concept of plagiarism in America or in the English speaking world that people believe that ideas and written expression of the ideas can be owned. So when an author writes down a particular set of words and phrases expressing a specific idea, the author in effect owns those words and ideas. Therefore, it is to use these words without giving credit to the author is to steal them. That's the main concept of plagiarism in the Western world. Okay. Now let's see what are the other concepts in other countries. In some cultures, people believe that ideas belong to culture and the society and should be shared by all individuals. And in some countries, students are not even required to use quotation marks or cite their sources. So you can see the two totally different concept of plagiarism. And now in United States, in most of university campuses, we live in a global campus, right? Where we get students from all over the world, and those students are coming to our campus with a totally different learning about how to avoid plagiarism, and you can understand how it can create a lot of confusion among our students, like whether they should follow the Western concept of plagiarism or they should follow what they have learned in their previous life or in your previous academic life. Okay. Next slide, please. So to elaborate more on this, throughout much of East Asia and Southern Asian countries, and I am from one of the Southern Asian countries, students in school are taught to explicit hierarchies within widespread Confucian principles of respecting those who offer wisdom by memorizing their teaching. So memorization is a big form of learning in many Asian countries. So as a student, I was, or many students are encouraged to memorize part of their learning and replicate that in their writing instead of producing original work. You know how in USA we value original work, but in many Asian countries, the if you memorize and write it as you are reading it, you will get lots of credit. So that's again very confusing for many students. And now I also want to add here that it's not only among like students from other countries or from for international students. There are many others ways students get confused nowadays because information is available everywhere and students do not know how they can use that information in their academic writing, how it is different from their daily writing, communicating with their friends and writing in an academic paper. So that's why we are here to shed some light on these confusing areas of academic writing. Next slide, please. Okay. Yes, so while talking about what are the other things that confusing our students and making things complicated for our students, even though it seems it's making it easier. So there are many tools, like in addition to a quick Google search, there are internet paper mills and paraphrasing tools available. So internet paper mills are websites those offer students papers on particular students. Let me pause and ask you all, how many of you are aware of internet paper mill sites? Please give us a thumbs up or yes, no, no idea. Okay, thank you. So yeah, there are many internet paper mill sites available. So some charge you money to get their service. Some will provide you paper or assignment, but the requirement will be that you have to submit another assignment to get to that paper. Okay, so you can see that overlap is bound to happen. Some of the examples of free paper mill sites are cheathouse.com. What a creative name. Bignerds.com, academicturnpapers.com. And the thing that I want to bring your attention to, like I use those paper mill sites and I copied a random paper from those paper mill sites, and then I pasted that same information in a Google search, and within a fraction of a second I could find it out. So I also want to tell you all that your instructors are aware of existence of this type of internet paper mill site, one. And number two is that how it is easy for you to use these sites. It is also easier for your professor to detect the internet plagiarism. So it is super easy to detect internet plagiarism. And with that, now we have different paraphrasing tools. Those are like use intelligent software. Some of the names are Quillbot or WordTune. You can create an account with them and they will reword or paraphrase your text, just like how Grammarly changes corrects your spelling and grammars. This will actually paraphrase your information. And just want to emphasize that we are not advocating for any of these tools, but we are letting you know that the instructors are aware of the existence of these tools and what they offer. So it is ethically wrong to use any of these tools in academic writing. And we also want to point out, as I said earlier, it is super easy to detect plagiarism just from a simple Google search. We do not need to even use any sophisticated plagiarism detection tool to detect internet plagiarism. Next slide, please. Yes. Okay. So next slide talks about the fundamental values of academic integrity. So academic integrity is the commitment from students, faculty, and staff to demonstrate honest and moral behavior in their academic lives. And we all belong to this big academic life where we are expected to follow 5 pillars of academic integrity. Those 5 pillars are honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility. Honesty is the sincerity. Trust is in that uh, other people and people within our academic community will have the basic trust of their work, okay, what they're doing, and in good working relationship. The fairness is goes hand in hand with trust. Respect allows for individual points of view and opinions to be shared. So we want to respect everyone's opinion within the academic community. And we have some basic responsibility, means acknowledging our accountability in our daily actions. So as a member of this academic community, as a student of this academic community, we have the um, basic responsibility follow to follow these fundamental values of academic integrity. Now, next slide, please. So Turnitin, yes, this is a plagiarism detection tool that we all use here at Cal State L.A. So it is, we have institutional subscription to Turnitin. It is deeply embedded with our learning management system Canvas. So it saves professor time because professor can use Canvas for both teaching and anti-plagiarism needs. It also saves students time because as a student, you don't have to take any extra step. Once your professor is using Turnitin for your class, you can just submit an assignment and it will automatically go through the plagiarism detection test. And it checks against millions of documents and it provides a convenient originality report. So it can also help you to avoid unintentional plagiarism. To use that feature, you need to request your professor to submit your assignment as a draft assignment. Then it will not be added to Turnitin big database and it will give you a plagiarism detection result if you want to just to be sure that you are not doing any unintentional plagiarism. So next slide, please. So here you can see our originality report that we see as an instructor of a class from our end. That on the left hand side you can see the students' assignment or submitted paper, and on the right hand side you can see the possible sources from where possibly the lines were plagiarized, and it gives us color coded sentences, so we can see from exactly students have possibly plagiarized those lines, and it gives us a 0 to 100% matching score. So whenever the matching score is above 50%, that's a clear warning sign. Like when the matching score is below 24%, it should be okay, but above 50% means we do need to review that paper carefully for any signs of plagiarism. Yeah, below 24% is good. Yes. So next slide, please. Yes. So now we have another quick quiz for you all. So same process, everyone. Please go to your existing menti.com page and it should now take you to the page directly. If not, you can enter the code again, 91948665.
And as we're kind of starting to see the next quiz question, there was a really good question in the chat
Okay.
about using Grammarly. So the student was asking, you know, when you use Grammarly, which is something that we have at Cal State L.A., it's a free tool for all of our students. When you type something in, Grammarly will say, hey, why don't you write it this way? It sounds a little bit better. What do you think, Jayati? Would that be an acceptable tool to use?
I think so, because we are also providing institutional subscription to it for free to our students, staff, and faculty. So yeah, I think you can use it like to change few things in your writing, but the basic writing should be yours. Yeah, I think it would be okay to use Grammarly.
Yes, and I know I use Grammarly all the time because sometimes I write in the passive voice and the idea is to write in active voice. And so Grammarly is very helpful. It helps me kind of rearrange, you know, and for clarity and also for active voice. but sometimes it Grammarly will want to change like some of the words I'm using. And so it's okay to say no to Grammarly.
Yes,
You don't have to accept changes, right, Jayati?
yes. Yes, and in the academic world, you will develop your own writing style. So after a while, you will notice that you won't like everybody's suggestion, even if it is Grammarly. So you are going to follow your own writing style, but you may accept some suggestions from Grammarly whenever necessary. But yeah, as Letty mentioned, Grammarly doesn't like passive voice use, and sometimes it doesn't work well with my writing style. So yeah, it depends on, and this is what we also want you all to develop your own writing style and articulate in your own way. That is the most rewarding part of the academic writing. Okay, so we received
Yes, I love that you
yes
said.
answer. Yes.
Okay, yes, the answer was yes, predominantly yes, that's right. And a lot of students also indicated in the chat that their professors are requiring the use of Turnitin as they submit their assignments. So let me just take a look really quick at the chat. Wonderful. Um, there's just a thumbs up in there. So, okay, so now let's kind of talk about, well, how do you avoid plagiarizing by using paraphrasing? So paraphrasing means when you restate or say in your own way somebody else's idea. And that is a really complicated and hard process. You don't just sort of know how to paraphrase. The more that you practice paraphrasing, and actually the more that you read the assignments for your class, the more that you engage in writing and just sort of like dive in and nerd out as a student, so to speak, the better you're going to get at paraphrasing. Paraphrasing allows you to not only say the content in your own words, like summarize the main idea, but it also allows you to synthesize, like combine and add and build upon other pieces of information that you know. So paraphrasing is a very critical skill. It's a very important skill that you have to develop with time, and you have to develop with practice. So let's see, what else do we have in here in this definition? So when you paraphrase, keep in mind that you want to pay attention to the significant information, and also you can use like comparing and contrasting um, to kind of look at different ideas together. Okay, I like showing this page a lot. And the reason why I like showing this image, which is an image of the Bloom's taxonomy, a tool that many educators use and have been using for decades now. The reason why I like this image and the words here is because it tells me what actions is my brain doing when it's thinking critically. When I'm doing critical thinking, like what exactly am I doing? So one of the important steps is actually, this purple part, the being able to define and to list out and kind of, describe, what something is. And actually that sort of dives into the blue part where you describe, a situation, or you describe a concept. So in your classes, you're learning all of these different vocabulary terms, these concepts. In your writing, it's important to be able to describe those definitions and those concepts. The harder part is when we're doing the sort of the green part that you see here, where you're making a comparison and saying this concept is different or similar to this other concept because, and then answering that question. The yellow part is really, that's, one of the main keys that you're learning here at Cal State LA as you're becoming an expert in your major area and your major, is that you're learning to make arguments. You're learning how to make a claim or an argument and then backing it up with your evidence. And then finally, the orange part, that's where all of you are going to turn in your papers this semester. will be over at a certain point. You will have turned in all of your assignments, and that's where you get to shine with your critical thinking. Okay, so the APA has these 6 steps that they, offer to us about how to do a proper citation. The first thing you want to do is read. You have to read the material. You have to read, and there's strategic ways of reading. You have to read to get the main idea. That's number 2. Then number 3, which is, kind of deceptive here because that's the hardest part. You have to say in your own words, what is the main idea that these authors that you're reading about, what's their main idea? What are they trying to say? And sometimes what I like to do for this one is, like on a Google Doc, I'll record my voice saying, I think the main idea is this, this, this. Or to me, it sounds like the main idea, what they're really talking about is this, this, this. And then once I record my voice, either like on a text message or on a Google Doc, I do that a lot actually on a Google Doc, I go back and I try to rewrite it in academic, scholarly language. Okay, number 4, after you write the paraphrase, you say it in your own words, you must include the citation. It either has to come in the narrative, like Rodriguez, 2020, reported that blah, 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 or the scholars reported that this, 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 and then your parentheses and your citation. You also want to make sure that your in-text citation is matching with your references page or your works cited. All right, so some do's and don'ts. We all said don't do patch writing. You do want to quote and you do want to use paraphrasing, but what is common knowledge? We're going to talk about that in a second. But what I want you to do here is, let's take a look at this text here. Further south, plateaus, tropical rainforests, and sandy deserts are bordered by palm-fringed beaches. Let's say you're reading that, you're getting that from an article. On this side, on the plagiarized side, you can tell this is a plagiarized version of it because the student that rewrote it wrote, plateaus, tropical rainforests, and sandy deserts are bordered by palm-fringed beaches in the south. All they added was this part here in the south. The other part is basically an exact copy, and they didn't include a citation. So what is that an example of? This is an example of patch writing, and it's an example of plagiarism. Now, let's take a look at this green example. The beach's geography comprises a variety of landscapes. It's got different landscapes, including rainforests and deserts, and they include a citation. This is an acceptable form of paraphrasing because they cite it here, and they also have put it into their own words. They're not using the exactly same words, but they're keeping the same idea. Does that kind of make sense? The plagiarized version and the acceptable version? You can throw me a thumbs up if that's making sense. Okay, I don't see any thumbs up. Okay, I see a couple of thumbs up. All right, I want you to try it now. And I want you to tell me in the chat, is this plagiarism, P, or is this AP, acceptable paraphrasing? And the text says, technology has significantly transformed education at several major turning points in our history. In the broadest sense, the first technology was the primitive modes of communication used by prehistoric people before the development of spoken language. Okay, take a look at the green box and tell me, is this P, plagiarism, or is it AP, acceptable paraphrasing? Okay, so the student wrote in the green box, in examining technology, we must remember that computers are not the first technology people have dealt with. The first technology was the primitive modes of communication used by prehistoric people before the development of spoken language. Okay, tell me in the chat, what is that? Is that a good paraphrase, an AP, acceptable paraphrase, or is that paraphrasing? Okay, so have two different answers. Okay, someone who's put a P in there, do you want to unmute and tell us why this is plagiarism? Anybody want to unmute from our students in the house? Everybody's so shy. Okay, this is plagiarism, right? Because they're using the exact words here. The primitive modes of communication. There it is, the primitive modes of communication used by prehistoric people. So they basically got this whole part down here, right? I like what Jacqueline put though in the chat. We could make this an acceptable paraphrase, acceptable quote, if we were to put the quotation marks here followed by a citation. All right, let's take a look at this one. Okay, so it's the same text. I want you to tell me plagiarism or acceptable paraphrasing, and put either P or AP in the chat. Many forms of human technology have come before the invention of the computer. Frick, 1991, believes that, quote, the first technology was the primitive modes of communication used by prehistoric people before the development of the spoken language. And then you have the page number followed by a period. What's that, AP or P? No answers in the chat? Okay, that's right, Maria. That's right. And this example is acceptable paraphrasing. And it's what I think what Jacqueline was calling us to kind of think about before. Oh, in the previous example. Oh, sorry, I stepped ahead. Where you can totally copy a piece of text, but you have to quote it and you have to cite it here. And you know that it's a proper citation because the author is listed there, the year, and then the page number. Okay, sometimes there's information that's common knowledge. For example, who wrote Romeo and Juliet, the play? William Shakespeare. Everybody knows that, or it's sort of common knowledge. Or how many years or how many days are there in a year? 365 days, according to the calendar that we use. Or who was Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States? This kind of information is common knowledge. You don't need to go find a paper or a piece of writing that says that there are 365 days in the year, because that's common knowledge. But remember, when you don't know if it's common knowledge or if you should be quoting it or citing it, always err on the side of quoting it and citing it. Okay, one more piece. We have like a couple more of these. And this one, what we want you to do is go back to the same quiz that you're in. And let me push it forward to the next part. And what we want you to do for this one is we want you to paraphrase this quote, which comes from the mission statement of Cal State L.A. Cal State L.A. transforms lives and fosters thriving communities across greater Los Angeles. Quote, now you try it. Go ahead and type in what you think is a good, acceptable paraphrase. Or you could quote, you could use some quoting. And the source for this, I'll actually put it in the chat, is Cal State LA mission statement. And this is current, so the year is 2023. All right, so go ahead and take a minute or so to type it. And I should say, your answers are completely anonymous. So nobody's going to know if it was you that put in the paraphrase. Okay, no problem. We'll work it out. I don't know. How would you say that in your own words? You can also unmute if you want to and try it out.
Okay. How would I say it is? Depends what the question is.
Okay, so the question is, what we want you to do here is to paraphrase that quote. Cal State L.A. transforms lives and fosters thriving communities across greater Los Angeles.
You see?
How would you say that in your own words?
In my own words, I would say that I would go. I don't understand it.
Okay, so we want you to look at the sentence and then try it out for yourself, putting it into your own words. Okay, there's a submission. Okay, what about you? What do you think? Let's maybe give it one more minute. So this one, I think maybe we could take out the add part and say Cal State LA or CSU LA. That's another way of saying Cal State LA is important because the students and faculty make the community better. Okay, that's someone's submission. Anybody else want to try it? Remember, it's very low stakes. You can try out saying that idea in your own words. Everybody's very shy today. Oh,
Yeah.
another one. Attending Cal State LA University Los Angeles would lead to growth and learning to make a larger impact on the community. Okay, very good. The
Very good.
University of Los Angeles helps people to be successful and get a better life in Los Angeles. Okay, now another one at Cal State LA, many lives are transformed at this campus while also inviting thriving communities around the Los Angeles area. Okay, very good. What do you think? Are these acceptable paraphrasing? One of the things like this one right here is drawing my attention. Are you able to see my mouse roll?
Yes.
On this one, I think what I would maybe do is maybe like add a little bit of a quote there, right? Because you're doing thriving communities. Or you could also think of maybe you can think of another way of saying thriving communities, or definitely you can use a quote there with a citation. Yeah, I like the other one too. University Los Angeles helps people to be successful and have a better life in Los Angeles. I like that one a lot. And attending California State University Los Angeles will lead to growth and learning to make a larger impact. So Cameron, earlier you had the question, what do we do? So on this one, what you want to do, which is really, it's a hard thing to do, is getting an idea that already exists, like this quote, and then saying it in your own words without repeating exactly the other words. That's a really hard thing to do. But with practice, you get better and better at it. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our slides now and do the last portion of our of our workshop.
Yes, so as you master the skill of paraphrasing, which is going to take some time. So don't feel bad if it doesn't come automatically, because it takes times and sometimes years to paraphrase something in your own words. And even sometimes you may feel like, oh, authors have paraphrased it so well, I cannot do it. In those times, you can use quotation marks and cite your sources. So I'm going to talk about how you can cite your sources. So there are thousands of citation styles we can follow, but on our campus, APA, MLA, and Chicago citation styles are the three most popular citation style that our students follow. So today we are going to focus on the APA citation style mostly. And next slide. Also, I just want to add that today we are going to give you some basic idea about how to format your citation, but we'll be offering a totally different session, entire session on APA citation style. So next week or in the following week. So if you are available, please feel free to join the session. Or you can take a look here right now today, the general citation format for APA. So if you are trying to format any citation in APA, these are the information we need to include: author's last name, first and middle initial, separated by a comma, and then publication year within a parenthesis, then period, then title of the article if it is a journal article, name of the journal, and the volume number should be italicized. So that's something to pay attention to. But issue number is not italicized. And then if you are again citing a journal article, we need to include a page number information. So you can see the example one as a perfect citation of a journal article where all this information is included. You can also, sometimes you may have to cite books or web pages, and particularly for web pages, you may not be able to find all the necessary information, and that is fine. Like you can see in the example, you can, particularly for web page, you will not find the author name. So you can start with the title of the web page, which is Center for Disease Control, or you can, authority name, you can use that as the author. Sometimes you can find an organization as the author of the document. You can include the publication year. Sometimes it is also included on the web page, and the title of the document and the URL to access the document. Okay. Next slide, please. Yes, so in text citation. So in addition to the full reference that you need to include in your bibliography citation, you also need to think about the in-text citation, which you need to include in the body of your paper. So on the right-hand side of this slide, you can see a screenshot of a peer-reviewed article, and once you start reading peer-reviewed articles, you will see that this is a common practice in any academic writing, that whenever you are paraphrasing information from any other source, in the body of the article, you include the author's last name, comma, publication information. And if you are using direct quotation, with that, we need to include the page number information. In beginning of my academic career, I used to think, oh, citing so many sources may not look good in my own article, but I was wrong, and I want to clarify that to you all. It actually looks better when you cite many sources in your writing, because your professor then will be convinced that you have done in-depth research in this topic. So for in-text citation, you will just include the author's last name and publication year. And then in the bibliography section, you will include the whole references, okay, that I just discussed in my previous slide. Next slide, please. So here more information about in-text citation. So there are two stylistic ways you can do in-text citation. It depends on your writing style. For example, if the author is part of your narration, like you are writing like, according to John Smith, this means this. So in that case, you just include the publication year besides within the parenthesis, besides the author name. But if you are like the narrative citation you see on the last row of the table, okay? So according to John Smith or according to Fuentes, and then within the parenthesis, you just include the publication year. But when the author is not part of your narrative, you are just paraphrasing a line, few sentences, or a paragraph from another article, you include author's name and the publication year. And it varies also, like or depending on the how many authors have written the article. So for one author or two authors, you will include both authors' last name and the publication year. But when you are paraphrasing an article written by three or more authors, after the first author's last name, you include ETAL, ETAL, and the publication year, okay? So we have also included the APA workshop slides. So you can take a look at that. It is also available on our YouTube channel. So you can take a look at it at your own time, whenever it is good for you. And next slide, please. Also, I just want to bring your attention that generating citation in APA, MLA, particularly and in Chicago style, is not hard at all, because most of the databases that you use from Cal State L.A.'s libraries offer you the option to generate the database generated citation. So here you see a screenshot from one search page where you get a citation link. You can click on the link to get the citation in APA citation style. Behind the first screenshot, you see another screenshot from EBSCO host databases, where also you get a site link to generate citation in APA citation and any other citation style. So it is super easy for you all to avoid actually plagiarism just by getting the citation from database generated citation. But here I also want to add that nothing comes that easy, right? So database generated citations are easy to use, but they are not perfect. So for that, we do still need to use the APA citation manual or APA quick guide that our colleagues have created. And I'm going to show you in my next slide how you can access that information. Okay, so we have multiple copies of tangible copies of APA style manual. Please, you can just stop by to our service desk on the main floor of the library and use a style manual, APA or Chicago or MLA style manual from our collection. We also have a APA 7th edition quick guide. Letty, if you could please click on the link. This is a super helpful quick guide and it's very concise. It's only 4-page long, and all the information is coming directly from the APA style manual, the 7th edition. So you can definitely use this quick guide if you do not have time to stop by to the library or read the entire manual. And here you will find a perfect example of how to cite different types of sources. So not only journal articles, if you scroll down, you will see examples of how to cite website, how to cite books, how to cite book chapters, and also how to do your in-text citation when you are using quotation marks. So Letty just shared the quick guide URL in the chat box. So I would strongly encourage you all to bookmark this page, because believe me, you are going to find this page extremely helpful. So please feel free to bookmark this page. Also, we have the citation guide on the library's homepage. If you could go there, Letty, quickly. So just on the library's homepage, yes, if you scroll down on the left-hand side, we have a separate tab on writing and citing. And this provides enormous resources for you all. If you click there, like you will get in-depth information about how to cite in different citation style. As you can see on your screen, we have information on APA, MLA, Chicago, and on other citation styles that our students are using. So please feel free to use these guides and resources to make your not only citation perfect, but also definitely to avoid plagiarism and follow the academic writing style that is required, will be required as long as you are a member of this academic community. So next slide, please. Yeah, and you can get to this page from library's homepage, everyone. So make sure to bookmark this writing and citing guide page also. Okay, so our last mentee question. What is the purpose of using in-text citation? And we made it easy for you all. So we have some, this is a multiple answer question. So you can choose from the multiple options we have given you. So everyone, please go to the menti.com, or it will automatically show you that we are on the next slide. And here is the code again if you need to use it. And let us know what is the purpose of using in-text citation. Because we are already putting everything in the references section. So why do you still need to use in-text citation? Okay, I see some answers are coming. Okay, so it's coming from all areas. Like, okay. Okay, so thank you for everyone for participation. I think the right answer is all of the above, because yes, we want to give key information as and data as evidence, and we also want to direct readers to the references section and refer reader back to the original source. So it's all included. So I think all of you gave the right answer because it's all part of the full answer. So the right answer is all of the above. Thank you all for participating. And that brings us to our next slide, or our last one probably. Let's see. Yes, so here we are again. We wanted to share our contact information with you all. So if you have any question tonight or in future, please do not hesitate to contact us. You can also take our understanding and avoiding plagiarism canvas tutorial. We have given you the link here for more information. Also, please feel free to attend our APA citation workshop and the ChatGPT workshop that we will be offering in the month of November. Okay, thank you all very much. Let me take a look at the chat areas if I missed any question. I know Letty is taking good care of that section.
We're happy to
all.
answer any questions.
Go ahead.
If you have any questions, we're a little bit over 4, but we're happy to stay on. If you have any questions about paraphrasing or quoting or plagiarism, like Jayati said, we have 2 more Library Live workshops next week. We have one on Chat GPT, which is one of the newer technologies that can kind of, blur the line of plagiarism. We're going to talk about how Chat GPT can be used for educational purposes, and also some of the limitations, some of the things to be aware of when you're engaging with that kind of technology, the generative AI technologies. And then our last workshop of the year will be, I think it's the 14th of November, and it's going to be our big APA workshop. That's one of our most popular, if not the most popular, workshop that we do every semester, how to cite in APA. And today we just gave kind of a very general introduction to in-text citation using narrative and parenthetical citation. But in 2 weeks, we're going to really spend some time with that. And I just wanted to say one last thing, if there aren't any other questions. So I always tell students, this is the APA quick guide that we showed earlier. That's also included in the slide deck. I guarantee you, if you take maybe a good 15 minutes to read this guide from page 1 to page 4 with careful detail, I guarantee you that you will begin to internalize the rules of APA citation. Do you need to memorize all of the rules of APA citation? No, you don't need to memorize the rules, but you need to know where to go to get the right formatting, the right rules for APA citation. And when you click on tools like Jayati mentioned that say citation, and it gives you an APA citation or MLA citation, most of the time it has all of the info, but there's some errors in it. Maybe there could be an error in the capitalization. There could be an error in the way the year is entered in. It's got tons of little errors. So what you need to do is plan ahead of time so that you have all of your citations to go. And then when you're getting ready to submit your paper, you've already written everything, you have all of your references or works cited, and then you can do a very close double check of not only your writing, but also your in-text and reference citation. And that's part of what Jayati was talking about earlier. That's part of your academic integrity. What were the pillars again? Let me take a look at the slide so I can remind myself what the pillars were.
Trust, fear, respect, yeah.
Let's take a look. There's
Yeah.
accountability. Yes. So there's very quickly kind of going back on the slides. Those are all the things like the values of students, and also of professors: honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility. It's your responsibility to make sure that everything is done correctly in your assignments. But you have lots of help. Me and Jayati are here to help you. And I'm happy to send the recording to anybody who wants it. Just drop me your email in the chat. Does that sound good? You could throw me a thumbs up. Wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now and ask one last time if there are any questions. Okay, great. So I'll stop the recording, and I'll also stop my Zoom share. And